Today marks the official end of the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season. Although we suffered damage to infrastructure and crops, we are grateful that it was not extensive and also there was no loss of lives. However, we must remain vigilant as our precious island is vulnerable to climate change. So glad you could join us for another installment of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. On the show, we continue our series on finance matters with a focus on scholarships and assistance. We also look at the pending fare reduction for those traveling with the JUTC and more. Stay with us. The news of the day is after this message.
Practicing good oral health is essential in maintaining fresh breath and a healthy smile. Always remember to brush twice daily for 2 minutes with fluoride toothpaste to strengthen tooth enamel and help fight gum disease. Always brush in a circular motion using a soft toothbrush. Floss once daily to remove food particles between the teeth and the gum line. Use a mouthwash to clean areas of the mouth a toothbrush or floss can't reach. Change your toothbrush every 3 to 4 months. Visit your dentist every 6 months for checkups and cleaning. And be sure to drink water to keep gum disease, plaque, and cavities at bay. Remember, good oral health is key to a healthy mouth.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, November 30, 2023. A record 1 million plus airline seats have been secured for the upcoming winter tourist season coming out of the United States. Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett announced the milestone in a press statement earlier today. With just over 2 weeks for winter travelers to start their vacations, he says 10 airlines already have nearly 6,000 flights booked out of key U.S. gateways for between January and April 2024. These include American Airlines with over 305,000 seats, Southwest with nearly 107,000, 205,776 on Delta flights, JetBlue with almost 243,000, United booking 92,911 seats, and Frontier flying in with over 25,000. Spirit, Sun Country, and ALG Charter are also contributing a combined 65,677 seats on 361 flights. Additional airlift is also slated to come from Caribbean Airlines flying out of New York. Minister Bartlett says this surge, amounting to 1.05 million airline seats, represents an increase of 13% over the 923,000 recorded in the last winter season. He asserts that these numbers reflect the ongoing effort of the ministry through the Jamaica Tourist Board, working alongside international and local partners in the travel and hospitality sectors to ensure continuous growth in the tourism industry. Meanwhile, preliminary figures for the period January to November 29, 2023 indicate that approximately 2.5 million stopover visitors have come to Jamaica. This is an 18% increase over the same period in 2022 and a 10% increase over pre-pandemic 2019. Minister Bartlett says if this growth trajectory continues, the country will be on track to meet the new projections of 4 million visitors and foreign exchange earnings of $4.1 billion by year end. Occupation of the main building at the Cornwall Regional Hospital is to begin on a phased basis in April to mid-year 2024 while the development works continues. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, gave the update during a tour of the project on Tuesday with stakeholders from the tourism sector.
What the projections are is that the final thing will be completed within 30 months. But there's going to be a phased opening, so we will open and use and access parts of the hospital, the main building, before that, starting next year.
The Cornwall Regional Hospital redevelopment project has entered its third and final phase, which entails the building and installation of medical equipment and apparatus over the next 30 months. It is slated for completion in 2026. The project represents an investment totaling $14.6 billion. Students at Clancarthy Primary School can now look forward to a more advanced learning environment thanks to a newly renovated computer lab that was designed to improve their digital literacy. The lab was officially opened on November 28. It has been equipped with 15 desktop computers, an air conditioner, a multifunction printer, and scanner. The project was spearheaded by the Embassy of the Dominican Republic in Jamaica under its DomRep School Adoption Program. Minister of Education and Youth Favor Williams has expressed appreciation to the embassy, saying the efforts demonstrate a shared vision of devotion to the growth of education and cultural exchange.
As we delve into the virtual learning, I believe these computers will enable students and teachers to explore new horizons, will facilitate enriched educational experiences as well. These computers are not just tools, but a symbol of the support and investment the ministry believes you deserve.
Clancarthy Primary's principal, Winsome Reed, similarly adds that the partnership with the Dominican Republic symbolizes the commitment to education.
It's not just a technological upgrade for our school, but I see it as a symbol of our shared commitment to fostering and enhancing teaching and learning so that our students can become digitally literate.
State Minister for Labor and Social Security, Norman Dunn, is calling for the elimination of child labor in Jamaica. Pointing out that child labor is a long-standing issue worldwide, he says the government is committed to its eradication in Jamaica. But he says the mandate requires the input and dedication of all stakeholders, especially civil society.
But it's important for civil society to understand that they have a role to play almost as a watchdog to ensure that we are in fact, carrying out the tenets of this agreement that we have ILO.
He urged employers to not employ individuals who are underage and had not attained the age of working status. Jamaica is presently hosting a 5-member delegation from the Brazil International Labour Organization ILO South-South Mission. They are meeting with representatives from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, along with other stakeholders, on the regional initiative to eradicating child labour by 2025. Divisional Director of Industrial Relations and Allied Services in the ministry, Gillian Corodas, says a regional initiative with all countries in Latin America and the Caribbean has developed a country acceleration plan to end child labour.
Jamaica has recognized that child labor has some cultural roots in the sense that in agriculture, in some other areas, we are accustomed to children being used to assist, as we say. However, not recognizing that we have in fact been preventing their full participation in school, that we have been exposing children to hazardous conditions.
And finally, the Jamaica Information Service, JIS, is being hailed for taking steps to modernize its operations and increase its presence to reach Jamaicans wherever they reside. According to the Minister with Responsibility for Information, Robert Morgan, the JIS stands as a stalwart in the provision of timely and accurate information. Minister Morgan was making a statement in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. He cites, among other things, the pending launch of an online radio option, as well as a main channel to transmit government events in real time and the establishment of a regional office in St. Thomas. The minister insists that these and other measures are not mere operational expansions, but strategic moves to address localized information needs and solidify the agency's presence.
We recently launched a new website, jisgov.gov.jm, in September of this year, which is a strategic move towards modernity and accessibility. This platform, with the initiation of the fact-checking website, factcheckja.com, positions JIS as a vigilant guardian against misinformation and disinformation, a role increasingly pivotal in the contemporary media landscape.
He adds that the establishment of a dedicated social media department signifies a dynamic approach to engagement.
The impressive outreach of over 16 million online users between April and September this year is a testament to the agency's adeptness in leveraging diverse platforms.
The Information Minister, who has responsibility for the JIS, praised the renewal of the agency's ISO 9001-2015 certification in September after a rigorous audit by the National Certification Body of Jamaica. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
Let's hear from the Ministry of Finance on the different scholarships and assistance being offered.
Every year, the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service facilitates scholarships and grants targeting eligible Jamaicans who are looking to advance their studies. Some of the scholarships facilitated yearly allow for students to study both locally and internationally at leading universities. There are also grants for public sector workers and their children. But what do you need to know about scholarships? Hi, I'm Shaquille Rochester Shorter, and welcome to Finance Matters. Joining us to share the details is the Director of the Talent and Knowledge Management Portfolio at the MOFPS, Mrs. Colette Cummings McCausland. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow the Ministry of Finance on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and now TikTok to see all the episodes and highlights. Mrs. McCausland, thank you for being on our program today.
Thank you for having me, Shaquille.
All right, so I want you to tell us about some of the scholarships facilitated by the ministry.
All right, so our scholarship offers are facilitated through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade.
Okay.
We do have bilateral partners such as Serbia, Russia, China, and Cuba, as well as multilateral partners such as the OAS, Organization of American States, UK Commonwealth, New Zealand Commonwealth. Our local scholarship offers are the Marcus Garvey Graduate Public Sector Scholarship, targeted to individuals within the public sector, as well as our new initiative, the Micro STEM Scholarship for teachers to be trained in the areas of STEM, as well as the UTEC STEM Scholarship for young professionals to be trained in the area of STEM.
I hear you talking about scholarships, the STEM Scholarship, the Marcus Garvey Public Sector Graduate Scholarship, but a lot of times people are deterred by the bonding that they have to sign. What is bonding?
All right, so bonding it's of an archaic term. It is really just a service level agreement, promising that after you've studied, after the government has invested in you through our bilateral partners and you have studied overseas or locally, that you will just work in Jamaica for a minimum of 2 years to a maximum of 5 years.
Who does bonding apply to?
It applies to every citizen who gets the benefit from the government of Jamaica or through its donor agencies from 300,000 up, then you are required to sign a bond agreement.
Okay. What are some recommendations for people studying abroad? You know of people going abroad to study. What do you have to say to them?
Do your research. First and foremost, know where it is that you're going to, know the culture that you're going into.
Definitely.
Because Jamaicans are loved and we like to explore. So do your research. That's the main advice that I can give to them. Be aware of the area that you're going into as well, because there's a lot of geopolitical tension happening across the globe. So be aware, and then you have to make that decision, you know, what is it if something should happen? How will you be able to leave quickly, you know? Once you get overseas, we also encourage all our scholarships or students,
recipients,
right, to register with the embassy.
Definitely.
consulates in that country to say that I'm here studying, I'm expected to be here for a number of years, so that we'll have information on our citizens while they're overseas.
And that is definitely for their safety, Mrs. McCausland. Parents are oftentimes worried about their children going off. I know you're talking to the students that do your research, but what do you have to tell parents that are worried that, hey, my one daughter is leaving to go overseas and I can't stop worrying? What do you have to say?
Be prepared. Speak with your child, know what it is that they're getting into.
Yes.
Look at what the scholarship is offering. Some of our scholarships are full scholarships, while others are partial scholarships.
Okay.
So therefore, is it that you will have to find some assistance or funding while the student is there? So we suggest that you just have a conversation with them. Also have a conversation with us to find out what it is that the GOJ will offer in terms of stipend or warm clothing,
Yes,
or tuition, what it is that the government of Jamaica offers for that particular scholarship offer. Look at what the bilateral donor is also offering for that scholarship,
yes,
because you can get free education, but then what is the wherewithal of it? How is it that I'm going to manage in that particular culture? If I go to China, how do I manage, what the infrastructure is like in
yes,
China, which is totally different from Jamaica. Russia is forever cold, so you have to be prepared.
yes.
Also, be available to them. Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, video calls, just be present for them, because they do need it. It's a new environment for them. It's a new feeling for you as a parent.
Yes.
And you get jittery. It's our loved ones. But as long as we prepare ourselves by being a part of the process, knowing what the process entails, and keeping in tune with our students while they're overseas, they'll be fine.
Definitely agree with you, Mrs. McCausland. But you mentioned earlier that the scholarships are oftentimes for government workers. What are some of the other eligible criteria that they must meet to be able to get a scholarship?
All right, so outside of being a government employee, you must be a citizen of Jamaica for any scholarship that we offer. You must have the criteria as set out by the donor entity. So most of the donor entities, if it is for undergraduate, they'll ask you to have your CSEC or your CAPE studies. So for example, the Cuba bilateral that is currently open, we have 21 scholarship offers now out for Cuba, most of them being in the areas of medicine. So we have for nursing and we have for general medicine. We have at the postgraduate level. For those at the undergraduate level, you must have at least 2 CAPE subjects in the sciences. So physics and bio or chemistry are mixed. So it's dependent on what the donor entity asks for. But the main factor is you must be a Jamaican, and most times you must be willing to return to the country to develop the country.
That's definitely a big one there,
Right.
Mrs. McCausland. So before we go, quickly, tell us where we can go to apply for a scholarship.
Always at the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service website, any one of our social media handles. Most of our scholarship applications are done online. It is tweeted, it is on Facebook, it's on Instagram. I hear we're on TikTok now.
Yes,
but
we are.
Definitely on the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service website at www.mof.gov.jm.
Well, on that note, Mrs. McCausland, thank you for being on our program today.
Thank you so much, Shaquille. It was a pleasure.
And thank you for joining us on this episode of Finance Matters. Remember to follow us on social media at MOF Jamaica, and tune in next week as we continue to demystify the economic and fiscal policies and initiatives implemented by the government to empower Jamaicans as we chart a path to Jamaica's economic prosperity.
Come the 1st of January and April next year, commuters on JUTC buses will benefit from major reduction in fares, going as low as $20 for the children. Let's hear more.
All commuters who travel with the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, will benefit from lower fares starting January next year. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark made the announcement in Parliament on November 21. The temporary fare reduction will be done in 2 stages.
Effective January 1st, 2024, the reduction in the regular fare from $100 to $70, and a reduction in the fare for children from $30 to $25, and for pensioners from $40 to $30. Effective April 1st of 2024, a further reduction in the regular fare from $70 to $50, and in the fare for children from $25 to $20.
Making it cheaper to travel with the state-run bus company is part of the government's plans to manage inflation and mitigate the impact of recent increases to the fares charged by public passenger vehicle PPV operators.
The government of Jamaica is very mindful of the impacts of the PPV increase on the cost of living, and also the need to support the Bank of Jamaica in its efforts to return and keep inflation within the 4% to 6% range.
Bank of Jamaica Governor Richard Bowes has welcomed the move.
Inflation is now projected to generally remain within the target range, except for December 2023 and a few months in 2024. The announced fiscal measure will have a material impact on tempering the potential inflationary pressures of the PPV fare increases.
The question is being asked, how will this impact and who will it impact? The last survey shows about 145,000 passengers being transported in the KTMR on a daily basis. Of that, 60,000 is on the buses.
To ensure the JUTC can manage any increased passenger demand, government is expediting plans for the acquisition of more buses in 2024.
We're looking to put 100 buses in the fleet of the JUTC for the calendar year, not the financial year. The calendar year 24 could be as early as June if everything goes according to my plan. But definitely by later September with the first 100. The impact of those 100 buses will probably increase JUTC's movements, daily movements, by about 20,000. So you'll be moving to 80,000.
Commuters will benefit from the reduced fares for up to 24 months or 2 years. The fares will then be readjusted to the previous levels.
We are approaching the busy Christmas period when personal and commercial shipments reach an all-time high. The Jamaica Customs Agency has put measures in place to make the clearing of goods seamless and with less hassle. I'm talking about contactless clearance.
Clearing cargo without physically needing to be there to inspect it, facilitating a less burdensome clearance process, plus an efficient inter-agency electronic system to see the process to the release of the cargo. That's the major reform that's taking place at the Jamaica Customs Agency, the JCA. The agency has rolled out its contactless clearance process for non-commercial imports, and to explain the operations is Director of Cargo Imaging, Kingsley Henry.
Let me start at the major part, which is the inspection part. So you have to sit and wait for customs to be ready to inspect your cargo, for the warehouse to produce it. Right? That happens after the cargo would have been taken out of the container, scanned and placed in the warehouse, usually a few days after you turn up. What we want to do now in the process is to say, once your declaration is in the system, and that can be submitted once the customs manifest is in the system, right? So when the ship sails from Miami, there's a manifest that says everything that is on the ship. There's a manifest that says what is in the container. Once that is submitted into the system, your agent can reach out to you and get information from you and submit the customs declaration even before the vessel arrives in Jamaica.
The reach out isn't, Mr. Henry, can you come to the office?
No, the reach out is, Mr. Henry, We are ready to submit your declaration. Can you provide information as to what is in your shipment and the value of that, right? Do you have any invoices? Can you scan those and send those to us or email those to us, right? The agent can submit the declaration even before the vessel gets to Jamaica.
Right.
And then communicate to you what the assessment is for custom duties.
So this will speed up the clearance if it can be done before?
It will speed up the clearance.
Okay.
So they'll communicate to you and say, well, since you have a standard barrel, there's a little TV in there, and you have the invoice for it, all right, your charge is $10,000 for argument's sake.
I know that right
And then
now.
the challenge now is for you to make arrangement to pay. Right? So you can pay through the agents. The agents may have different means to allow you to pay them and for them to pay customs. What we are working on as well.
If I can just chip in here, you're saying pay the agent and the agent handles the payment and goes to customs.
Right, they can handle the payment
and
that
not
goes
paying
to customs.
the agent, then have to go and pay customs.
No. So you can pay the agent and the agent pays customs, right? What we are working on as well at customs is to expand the number of payment options that are available to you, the importer.
Right.
Now the agents have several options. They can pay online, etc., and we want to make some of those options available. It is still work in progress, right? But we want to get to the point, for example, we have been working on a payment application that would allow you to stay anywhere in the world and pay. The person who sent you the barrel could also pay once the TRN is on the declaration. A relative who has a debit card or a credit card could pay on your behalf, and the agent could also pay on your behalf. So that's what we're working on. So declaration is paid, right?
Right.
So the ship don't arrive yet, So the ship come in tomorrow.
Right.
So the ship arrives tomorrow, container is taken off, container taken to warehouse, goods taken out, goods scanned, placed in the warehouse.
Right.
Customs is then in a position to do the inspection at that point. So no longer do we have to wait 2 days, 3 days, 4 days for you to turn up. We do the inspection, and then your agent will call you and say, Mr. Henry, you can come and collect your goods. And that's all you're doing. The goods is inspected based on the declaration that you would have made.
Right.
And so we say to a person, that's the most important part of the process. Providing a accurate declaration, and for your agent to provide that accurate declaration, you have to give them complete information about what is in your shipment and what it costs. And then based on the data that we have seen in our existing process, in excess of 90% of declarations are correct. Where they are not correct, reassessment is necessary, but the vast majority of declarations are correct. And so when you use contactless clearance, no longer you'll have to come and sit and go through that long process and wait.
I want to know, how can customers get in touch with the JCA about contactless clearance, this initiative?
Well, they can email us at contactlessclearance.gov.jm, right? Or public.relations at jca.gov.jm, or they can telephone us at 876-922-5140, and my PR director remind me that it goes up to 8 and not 9, right? And so that's contactless clearance at jca.gov.jm.
So for more information, you may contact the Jamaica Customs Agency. I'm going to run those numbers again. 876-922-5140. You said it goes up to 8. Up to 8. So 876-922-5140 to 8. Their website at jacustoms.gov.jm, or send an email to quick.response@jca.gov.jm.
We've come to the end of our show for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we'll bring another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine@jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Edwin Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.